I was reading the news and I saw this Mark Robinson. If y'all don't know who that is, he's a lieutenant governor of North Carolina, and he's running for governor of North Carolina as the GOP candidate. And a bunch of news came out where basically there are these profiles that they found of him from a long time ago being on porn sites saying the craziest stuff you can imagine, right? And this is my thing. First of all, this is a terrifying and dangerous man, and I know that because he leaves comments on the message boards of porn sites. What? A porn site is simple, okay? You get in and you get out. You don't stay to chat. What's wrong with you? You're not here to make friends. You are out of your mind. Why are you just on here being with? That's weird as hell. No one I've ever met has been like, oh, well, I can't wait to log on and talk. That's a real sick man right there. That's crazy. And just so you know, Mark Robinson has been endorsed by Trump. Trump would stump with him and stuff like that, and he's been at Trump rallies and stuff. And then, Mark Robinson's a very big man. He's huge. He's a large guy. And Trump called Mark Robinson Martin Luther King on steroids, because I don't think he understands how steroids work. They don't just make you bigger in general. They don't balloon you. You gotta work out a little bit. You gotta do something. Mark Robinson is over here being I think, I don't know what opinions he truly holds. I don't, because, politicians lie and they pretend to be who they think you want them to be. But it seems like he's trying to appeal to the most radical version of a conservative, right? And he has his little taglines, and he gets in with phrases. I think that's why Trump likens him to Martin Luther King, because he tries to put on an MLK-esque voice when he speaks and everything, but he says stuff that he sure his base wants to hear. And he said really horrific stuff about gay people, about trans people and everything. And they uncovered all of these things that he had said on the message boards of these porn sites because his username sometimes was his name. Fellas, I understand that sometimes we're in the heat of the moment and you go to one of these illicit sites, and the site asks you questions. Maybe the site, in order to enter, they want an email or something, or as eager as you are, please do not give them your actual information. This goes out to everybody. I don't care what you believe in, who you're voting for. Please do not give a porn site your real name and email address you use for work. I know it's the first email address that comes to mind when you've got other things on the mind, but make up an email address real quick. I know that sometimes that takes a second, because then you got to make a fake Google account. You got to go back. You got to accept the email from the porn site and then just look. But make it so they don't know it's you every time. It shouldn't be that hard, but apparently it is, because then CNN and the journalists on CNN, I don't remember if they're actually CNN affiliates, but basically the journalists that looked into it found that on lots of, porn sites, he was using the same username, the same handles, which turned out to be the same usernames and the same handles he used on Twitter and fellas, even if it means coming up with a fake name right now. Just come up with something to say in your mind. The fact that he was using his email all the time, but it makes sense. I guess he would use his email because he was using his name and he was commenting and all that. So he probably wanted to get the feedback from what people were saying to what he was saying. Now that I think about it, maybe it was more intentional than dumb. But he said insane things. This dude, first of all, on a porn site, no one is looking for feedback, really. Do you know what I mean? Maybe there's some. Maybe some crowd-funded, crowd-sourced. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm sure. Look, I haven't been on OnlyFans, but I'm sure with an OnlyFans, there are people that are like, I made this thing. I hope people like it. Let me get some feedback. This is what they like. This is what they don't like. That makes sense, right? But if you're just out in the world watching whatever comes up, and then you're just commenting all the time, you need a friend. This dude said such insane things. Some of them I can't repeat, but a couple of them I will. This dude said, unprovoked, I'm a black Nazi. I don't know where you begin with I'm a black Nazi from a black dude who should have probably left the porn site by now. He said other stuff. He was like, I would rather Hitler in office than the people that are in there now. I'm more confused than angry. I'm not gonna lie. And then he said stuff about how, my man, slavery wasn't that bad. I wish they would bring back slavery. I'd buy a couple. Mind you, this is on a porn site. What wires do you have crossed in your head? Does being horny make you angry? What? In what world does that come up? It's very specific. In what world are you on a porn site and then you're like, what really needs to be fixed? The Senate. Bruh. What? I do my best. I really do. I do my best to try to understand people, and I don't get this one. This is beyond me. Because even outside of what he said on the sites, it's also some of the things that make him unfit for office are just what he says out in the open. The way that he talks about people who are definitely his constituents. There are gay people in North Carolina. There are trans people in North Carolina. So when he speaks, he's speaking about them and sometimes to them. And he says very sick, hateful things, And just the way that he has this weird, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I try to love everybody, but it's very hard to love a black man that hates being a black man. It is jarring. You don't even know where to start. And the thing that I think maybe he thinks is that his proximity to whiteness and what the white people around him like will be his safety. And it's not going to be the case. Fundamentally, it won't. Because when you say things like slavery wasn't that bad, I wish they would bring back slavery, I'd buy a couple. Who do you think? It's hard to get to the bottom of what this person is thinking, because it's so crazy, it's like it's one of those things where you look at the state of politics, and it's one thing to lie, and it's one thing to say what you think people want to hear, but it's another thing to be an absolute lunatic and already in office, because he's already lieutenant governor. So governor's not that far of a stretch. And he got to be lieutenant governor saying mostly what he says now, minus the porn stuff. And it's so bad that Donald Trump himself, the dude who would stump with them, this is Martin Luther King on steroids. He doesn't know what steroids are. This is Martin Luther King on steroids. Donald Trump's campaign is even telling him, hey, you may need to drop out. If Donald Trump's campaign Donald J. Trump's campaign is telling you to drop out, you should probably leave Earth. The idea that Donald Trump's campaign is like, this guy, ugh. The fact that Trump distanced himself from Mark Robinson, Trump doesn't distance himself from Nazis. The fact that he was like, oof, this is pretty weird, right? You know? Like, Trump didn't denounce the Proud Boys openly. They asked him about the Proud Boys, and he was like, you know, boys will be boys, I guess, or whatever. But you, no. And that's exactly what I mean. Your proximity to whiteness won't save you. You're actually saying and doing some of the same things that the people say and do that Trump didn't distance himself from. But he's getting as far away as he can from your black ass. He's getting so far away from you, you would think he was on steroids. I think a lot about how we think about each other and we treat each other, especially now with like an election on us, you know? Everybody's exhausted. Why do we even do it this way? You know, in like France, they're like 3 months out, they're like, who should we pick? Like we're the only ones that make it a season and a half of TV. Like, no one else in the world does this. No one else in the world is like, all right, 2024, let's start talking about 2028. Why do we do it this way? And then you watch people. You watch how they react to people, you know? Like, I have a tougher time than I've ever had with the things that are being said, you know? Everybody expects politicians to lie. Everybody expects politicians to not care about them. I get that. But what's happening right now is, like, truly insane. You know, J.D. Vance was at a rally, and it's weird. Okay, I've just never seen somebody with less charisma. Like, J.D. Vance makes Ron DeSantis look like Ron White. Like, it's... Because when Ron DeSantis was running, I was like, why he's smiling like that? He was just, do you remember his smile? He's right. He's like, it's like it hurt him to talk to people, person to person. Then J.D. Vance got in there and nobody was happy. And J.D. Vance said, you know, they asked him about how he felt about the whole rumor about the dogs and cats things affecting the Haitian community, why they've been zeroing in on Haitians specifically in Springfield for some reason. You know, he's from Ohio and everything like that. And he basically said, like, and you can look this up for yourself if you think I'm being unfair, but he basically said that, you know, this is a Democrat talking point and a point by the media and everything, as if he didn't say it. And then he basically says, you know, everyone loves talking about those Haitians in the community like they came here legally and are doing everything legally, but they were brought in and they were legalized through a process by Kamala Harris that is unconstitutional. So as long as they're here, I'm gonna call them illegal aliens. He's talking about the people who did the right thing, by the way. You'll still be illegal. You'll never not be illegal, in my view. That's wild. You can't do that. You just can't, because the law is supposed to be the law. You're supposed to be the party of law and order. You can't just be like, nuh-uh, that's not... It's not how the law is supposed to work, you know? And look, I think that one of the reasons we get pitted against each other really, really hard is because America makes a promise, and it makes a promise to everybody that they will have it better tomorrow. And a better tomorrow isn't coming for everybody because of systems in place to keep tomorrow like today. So when I see Donald Trump at a rally and he says they're coming from Africa, they're coming from the Middle East, some of them are coming from Asia. These people are coming to our country, they're poisoning the blood of our country, and we have to get them out. I don't just think about people of color. I do think for a second about white people from the past, right? Because white wasn't always this like singular identity. There was a time in America where if you were Irish, you were spit on. Where if you were Italian, you were beat. And everything that Trump says about them is what they said about all those people in the background, right? About their great-grandparents. So they may cheer it on, but recognize if you have Italian descent, if you have Irish descent, if you're Greek, there was a time where you were not welcome here, and they said that your very presence and the presence of your children would destroy the country, would poison the blood. And then we became the most powerful country in the world. So clearly it's a lie. It's so clearly a lie. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying this as if I'm like, oh, you know, don't even have a program, open borders, just let everybody come in, spill it. The thing that they are painting, sometimes it's not even what's happening in the area. And look, I'm gonna tell you right now that I think that there should be a fair and legal and simple process for becoming a citizen. Do you know what I mean? And I think that having a process is not un-American. Having a process is not cruel, right? But there has to be a process. But then when that process is adhered to, you can't just be like, no, that's unmanageable. You know, that's wild to me. You know, I have friends who, one of my good friends is Italian, first generation Italian, and he's a bit older, and he tells me stories of what it was like for his family, right? And so much of it was based around fear. These Italians are coming over here, and they're gonna ruin everything with their good food. You know? And they were called criminals. There was an assumption that everybody, no matter who you were, in the Italian community was in the mob, and you were dangerous, and people should stay away from you, you know? It's everything. It's every single thing that's happening now. I'm not saying that there's no possibility of having an immigration problem. I'm not saying that it's not something that needs to be addressed. I'm saying the rhetoric that you use when you talk about people is important. No matter what you do when you build policy, you know? Because I would like the people who are hardworking, the people who are honest, the people who genuinely love America to be in America, you know? Because the same things that they do to immigrants now is what they did back in the day, you know? Maybe you were Irish, and maybe an Irish person in your community committed a crime, and now it's a crime on all of you. Not just one of you did it, y'all all did it. Every single one of you, and we're gonna make you feel like you did it. We're gonna put up signs, right? And if you're Irish, you know what those signs said. You know what I mean? So where did that get us? And where are we now? You know? Because we didn't send those Irish people back. We didn't send those Italian people back. You know, we found a way to make things work, and you build on a process and you improve it. I'm not saying there's not a process that doesn't need to be improved. I really am not. I'm saying that the way that you talk about people is important. Outside of anything else, whether they share some land with you or not. You know, and the same things that are happening now are what happened back then, you know? I'm scared of having a political process that's it's untenable. No.
Give it up for Josh Johnson!
I don't know. Maybe y'all saw, maybe you didn't see. People can only watch so much news, you know? But y'all saw the president at the UN. This is... I didn't see everything as it was happening. I heard about some stuff later, right? So then I got a text message from my friend. They were like, "Oh, did you see what happened at the UN?" I'm like, "No, I didn't see what happened at the UN." And they explained to me that, you know, he was getting on escalator, and then the escalator stopped. Now, I thought at the time, it was going very differently. I thought the escalator stopped on like a down escalator. That would have been a big deal. Imagine you on escalator. You have belief. You get on a down escalator, you're like, all right, it's gonna take me where I need to go. No need for a seatbelt. If that thing just stops, the momentum, whoa! Now the president's falling down the steps. So I thought that's what happened. Then I watched the video and I saw that he just walked up to the escalator, stepped on the escalator, and the escalator broke. And you saw him stand at the bottom of the escalator like, what? And Melania didn't miss a beat. She just started walking up the escalator. And so there were people that were like, this was sabotage. UN needs to be investigated. Somebody needs to be arrested, right? But then he made it up the escalator / stairs. And he went to speak to the UN. Went to speech for the whole of the UN. He's standing here, UN over there. And as soon as he goes to start, the teleprompter broke. We know the teleprompter broke because he told us. As soon as he walked up, he told us, teleprompter broke. First the escalator, teleprompter broke. Nothing here work. Nothing. No, teleprompter. And it's like, look, if you're delivering a speech and it's been, uploaded to teleprompter, then teleprompter breaks, all right, like, that is something to be annoyed or caught off guard about. But I'm sitting there watching, like, why do you care that the teleprompter, you're not gonna read it, like, you're not. Every speech is off the dome. Every speech you can tell every speech he's over here freestyling every time. Why do you even have a speechwriter? You know know the president's speechwriter right now gotta be the easiest job of the world. You just over here typing up chapters from Great Expectations, knowing he's not gonna read it. Knowing he's just gonna go, you know what I mean? He goes off of vibes. What do you care that the teleprompter's broke? You weren't gonna look at it. You might have read the first couple sentences and then been like, you know what? I'm gonna speak from the heart. And so the teleprompter broke it. You know? And so he's like, I guess I'll just have to. Which was also wild because the speech was printed out in front of him. But he was like, no, you want me to turn pages? No. And then proceeds to, give this address to the UN, and it depending on who you talk to, depending on whose opinion you're listening to, it did not go fantastic. Because the energy of the speech was like the normal energy. It was like rally energy, like talking to his base or something. But this is the UN. They don't live here. Like some of the stuff they don't care about. Like you talking to the UN. Everyone's here. He's over here like, I inherited a mess and we fixed it, and like years ago we were down in the dumps and now we're the hottest country in the world. He keeps saying we're the hottest country in the world, and I don't know what that means. I feel like even the UN was like, so what? Climate change? What does it mean, the hottest? This is also wild because, like, you talking to other countries right now. Why are you dunking on them right now? And then dude's over here. I ended, like, 7 wars. And it's just funny because, like, everybody he talking about is there. So now some of these countries look at each other across the desk like, I don't know. I didn't even, what did I say? Nah, it was incredible. And then there was a weird thing. I think it was Brazil. He was talking about the leader of Brazil and how, like, first of all, this dude also tariffing everybody. So then he was talking about how he doesn't do deals with people he doesn't like, but then he had a good handshake with the leader of Brazil, so maybe they could work something out. Even Brazil had to be like, yo, I don't know. I just saw him in the hallway. Out here trying to be cordial. I don't even know if this is good. Was this good? No, it's phenomenal performance. Truly, I've not seen anything like it. Just over here. I'm sure if you were at the UN, just sitting there, you just sit there quietly listening, looking over at other countries. There's some countries that had just be chuckling. Like countries that aren't in the mix, you know what I mean? Like if you're not like a key member of BRICS, or you're not, you know what I mean? Like if you're not like in the news in that way, you just come, you enjoy the show. Like I imagine maybe Zimbabwe might have been cracking up. They'd be like, that's your friend. That's your friend. But that wasn't the only incredible performance. That wasn't the only press conference. Because they held a press conference because they found it. They found it. They nailed it down. They found the cause. That's what they said. No one gathered everybody together, got the press conference going on. Looked like it was in the Oval Office. Yeah. And they were going to talk about the causes that they had found, the root cause of autism. This is what they said. And so, they walk in and you had Dr. Oz. Dr. Osmosis himself. Dr. Ozymandias. Like, Dr. Oz is standing there. And why? How did this happen? If we are just gonna start putting people from TV in real, government position, in real medical field, can we at least get somebody from, Grey's Anatomy or something? You know what I mean? If we are already not being serious, can we not be serious better? Who is checking for Dr. Oz besides Oprah? Who is... He's standing there, doesn't even really look that healthy himself. This man's advice so far has been actually insane. They've done interviews with him. He's spoken to the public. Like, what would you suggest for Americans? The man's out here. If you want to, if you don't, look. If you don't want to be sick, be healthy. I wish I was joking. I can barely take credit for that one. I changed 2 words. So you got Dr. Oz from TV on one side. And then you have y'all know who he is. And then you have RFK Jr. on the other side, looking odder than usual. If y'all saw it, you know what I'm talking about. RFK Jr. showed up. I don't know what's happening. Because it wasn't like a tan. He looked like a bruised blueberry. He looked wild, and nobody addressing it. Nobody saying anything. The president over here just trying to not use his peripheral vision. RFK Jr. is white. No, that is a white man. He's white. He's a white guy. But that's the first time I've ever seen a white guy and been like, he is colored. Like that. Yo, my man, what is happening? He just stand there like he's been holding his breath for 26 years. This is very bad. And then, I don't know who told him. I imagine it could have been somebody, higher up, but it could even just been an aide that told the president, okay, you're going to give this press conference, you're going to talk about links to autism, and what you need to do, this is very important, for legal, this is very important for a lot of reasons, what you need to do is say the name of the drug. Then you can go on and say the brand name. But you need to say the name of the drug, because the drug is what we're saying is the link, not one particular brand. So there are other like store brands that are this drug. You need to say the drug. Say the drug. You have to say the drug. Okay? Say the drug. And I'm sure he attacked it with that regular, bravado. I'm gonna say it, whatever. Get out of here. Let me work. Let me get in the zone, all right? I got you in my ear. I got him over here being purple. Let me work. It goes up, starts the speech. It's rolling. It's rolling with it. And then he hit a more than 8-letter word. And then the commander-in-chief, leader of the free world, in real time, in front of us, the American public, technically the whole world, because the internet, our leader in front of the nation, at a press conference they called. Our leader in real time sounded it out. I try really hard. No matter who somebody is, no matter the background, no matter the situation, really treat people like equals, not like look at people a certain type of way. We all struggle. We all have our different strengths and weaknesses and everything. But I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it. If you are 80 and you haven't attacked a word before, maybe it's just not a word you ever going to get. Like if you... It's late. It's late for him to be sounding out new words. Because the word, he could see the word coming up. And sounded it out confidently too, just over here, some toast. And it's not like it was in the mic. You couldn't hear it into the mic, but you could tell Dr. Oz was standing there trying to do hard ventriloquism. Just... Dr. Oz was standing there like, just open your mouth, let me do it. Just... Dr. Oz was fighting to just, you could see him. Acetone. Acetone. See him, man. I knew when he looked around, we were cooked. Like I knew it. When that man looked up from the paper, I was like, no, stay on it, stay on it. Stay with it, you almost got it. Acetaminophen. Acetaminophen. Tylenol. And like that. That is also wild too. Gave us the full, what is it, Porky Pig? Gave us the full Tylenol. And he was hitting those T's, that Tylenol, extra hard. He was getting his payback with those T's. Tylenol, don't take that Tylenol. When y'all see Tylenol. Cause it was rough. It was like you've been in third grade before. You remember when a teacher, I didn't even know this at the time, but it was basically when a teacher had like a hangover, and so then the teacher would just make y'all read the book to each other. At the time, I really thought it was about learning, and now that I'm grown enough to have friends that are teachers, I'm like, no, you had a bender. That's what this is. Don't try to put this off on the students. You know, you seeing double right now. And so it would be, your turn would be coming up. And you would do somebody would be reading over here, and you start counting people and counting paragraphs. And then you read ahead a little bit so that when it's your time to read your paragraph, you read your paragraph all fast and everything. People can't even retain the information. Then, there'd always be that one kid. There'd be that one kid where it's like, when you get to his paragraph, that's gonna last till the end of class. So you literally count your paragraph till you have to read, and then you count paragraphs and you like the bell gonna ring here. Sometimes to be a kid, everybody learns differently. We all have different abilities, and you do your best to be as patient as possible. I remember, I had one kid in my class that we would do that, and then his paragraph be coming up, and as soon as his paragraph start, everybody's like, and then he would start and he would be sounding it out and then hit the word and then sounding it out. Everybody learns at a different pace. Sounding it out, hit the word. Sound it out, hit the word. Sometimes he'd even go back, sound it out, hit the word, say the last three words together. He's learning. We're all learning. Everybody moves in their own time. But sometimes, I'll be honest with you, I was a kid too. I wasn't always patient. Sometimes he'd be sitting there and be like, and I'd be like, A, it's A, it's A, it's A, it's A. You already hit it. It's A, it's A. There's nothing left to do. It's A, it's A. It is A. You did it. High five. You did it. It's A. It's only A. And then you grow up and you mature and you realize that everybody's good at stuff. People aren't as good at stuff and everything. Because I'll tell you what, I could read, when I was a kid, I could read, very good at reading. My math wasn't great. So then when it came to math, it was me who was like a little bit behind all the time, especially when we got to like algebra. Because I could like factor a little bit. I understood denominators and stuff like that. Like, I felt like I was keeping up and everything. But when we hit algebra, all of a sudden, the tables were turned. This is why you have to be as patient with people as you want them to be with you. Because I'm sitting there. And for the first time, there's letters. There's letters in the math problem, but I'm sitting over here like, and then he was sitting there like, it's 4, it's 4, it's 4. Oh, and so, he's over there. He went ahead and dunked on that acetaminophen and then went ahead and started saying Tylenol, started describing to the people things that were not on the paper in front of him. Which is why you definitely shouldn't be upset when the teleprompter doesn't work. You know this is what you're gonna do. This man was just throwing out all types of wild claims. This dude was like, hey, look, the Amish, don't have any autism. And a couple times in this press conference, he would say something, then turn to somebody and be like, is that true? My man, no, it's all on the paper. They put it all on the paper. You had RFK Jr. turn from purple to red. Because then he just started going off on like vaccines in general. And just started saying like, look, it's too much. It's too much. And he's not the first person, he's not the only person to be saying that. It's too much at one time. You got those beautiful babies and you shooting them up with 80 shots of liquid. The thing that stuck out to me about the liquid thing is that you could tell he wanted to say juice. You could tell he's like, they put too much juice in them babies. Nobody need all that vaccine juice. No, it was truly wild. And then it was over. I can't imagine what it must have been like to be on the board of Tylenol. If you're on the board of Tylenol watching this press conference, you over here probably on a whole roller coaster of emotions. Like, at first you'd be sweating because they had let it slip several times that this is basically what the topic was going to be and what was going to be said. It had been like, pieced out, little flavor, little sprinkle here and there for the media all the way up until that press conference, right? But then, when they actually said it, I'm sure Tylenol was stressing when they said this is what the press conference was going to be about. This is what they were going to talk about. You work at Tylenol, you sitting there on the edge of your seat. And then he goes to say the name of the drug, and you're probably like, this might not be that bad for us, honestly. He almost said a cinnamon. We might be in the clear here. All we gotta do is come out with a label, no cinnamon in our product. We'll be fine. And then he says your brand name. Then he says your brand name over and over again. And now you're like, that's not good. That one came out perfectly. And then he talks about the Amish, and you're like, I guess if people watch the whole thing, they'll be confused enough to not know if they should take it or not. Because my thing is, look, why have such an unforced error? You know what I mean? Go ahead. You already got Caroline Levitt talking to the media all the time. Get her out there to start the thing. Get her to say the name of the drug and then walk off. Then you can go and just go off your vibes and everything. You had two people on either side of you that probably say the name of the drug all the time. Well, don't let him, but let Dr. Oz say it. Let him earn his keep. No, he over here supposed to be a doctor. Got the shortest name I've ever seen. Because I do my best to be up on the news, but I don't always want to talk about, politics and stuff. Sometimes there's stuff that happens that has nothing to do with anything political, and it just warms your heart to see it. You'll see a news story that captivates you, and it doesn't take you into like any sort of polarized position, Like I saw this South Carolina teacher that got arrested for using fart spray on the students as a punishment. Look, I'm not a teacher. I come from like a family of teachers, people that work in education. And like kids have always and will always drive adults insane. It's like part of the bargain that we have. Is part of the truce, It's like y'all won't do a Lord of the Flies. Y'all just be bad in school. And we'll pay the bills. And like, I can't imagine what it's like to teach, especially now. You have kids who genuinely, because of like lockdown and COVID and stuff like that, missed out on little pieces. You have adults now who missed out on like a full college experience. You also have little kids who missed out on having their friends over and, being able to socialize at a very specific point in their life. So everybody's been like knocked off their kilter a little bit by COVID and by lockdown, not being able to just be with each other. That's just, a fact. And because of how school was going in that time, you have people who are really behind because they didn't have that special attention. You had to do school on Zoom with a bunch of other students, and maybe a kid needed help and they couldn't get it immediately, not in the way you can get it when you're present, I can't imagine what it would be like right now to be in school, sitting there trying to do my algebra like zzz, 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 zzz. And so then the kids come back to school and, some of them are excited to see their friends. Some of them are still trying to learn how to socialize. Some of them, maybe aren't as affected as others. But kids will be kids. Kids will be loud. They won't listen, all that stuff. And then what do you do if you're a teacher? You got teachers out here fighting for their lives just to try to teach you some English. You see videos of it all the time, teachers going through it because students don't want to listen, all this stuff. This is the person that's just trying to make sure you know how to spell. So one day, if you make it all the way to the White House and you have to address the nation, you won't be like, cinematosis. And so if you're a teacher, you know what I mean? What do? Like my teachers used to yell. Teachers yell. It happens. Hey, stop! And you can tell. There's a certain yell, especially when you got like a male teacher. There's a certain yell that you can tell you broke him because his voice cracked. You know what I mean? Like if he's like, hey, hey, y'all chill out, right? And he's had enough of it, and maybe you're the first period of the day. You know what I mean? Y'all being a little loud. Hey, listen up, right? Something happened at about 5th period and on. Where if you really got him at his wits end, he'd be like, hey! Can't even help you people. That's how you can tell. That's how you can tell when a teacher really at the edge, when they just start talking to the students like they are society. Like it's like you do your best, you know. You go to a state school to save money because you know you're not going to make it here, you know. You got a passion for Spanish, so you try to teach it to you knuckleheads. Just truly, like, you know, teacher ready to cry. Over here, you get that third shut up. Sometimes that third shut up doesn't have any bass behind it. It sounds a little bit, shut up! Leaning against the board. I don't know what to do. All right. And so what do? You know what I mean? Yelling doesn't work. You can't hit them. Somebody came up with a plan. Somebody was like, all right, y'all don't respect me? Okay, y'all don't respect me? You will respect this. Because I've read different reports. Some reports say he was like doing a prank or whatever. Some reports say he was like mad about whatever. But I'm telling you, he could have done it for any amount of reasons. Maybe this dude didn't take his job seriously. Maybe, you know, he was out here just trying to prank for fun. He's somehow like a teacher's assistant, whatever, and still hadn't like grown up. So then he's over here. Ooh, look at you, stinky, ooh. Ooh, stink butt over here, ooh. Maybe. But maybe he had had enough. You can only take so many spitballs to the back of the neck before you snap. Maybe this dude came in one day and was like, all right, look, I hate that it's come to this, I really do. But please believe me, if you talk all the time or you never talked before, anybody can get it, all right? I'm not gonna lose my voice this week because y'all don't wanna learn. Anybody can get it. Anybody. I'm gonna put it right here. And I'm begging y'all not to test me. As soon as somebody's talking to their friend, he's like, what? He must have been brandishing it. He must have been wielding it because apparently, like, from what I read, like 100 parents complained or something. This dude got arrested, and then I think they said like 2 students went to the hospital or something like that. And I'm sure you over there at interrogation tried to defend yourself. They should have thought about that asthma when they were doing all that talking, all right? How do we know it was a spray? What if it was that talking that caused the asthma attack? Over here, mouth moving 100 miles a minute. I'm trying to teach something. Listening is easy to breathe. Because I wonder how much he must have done it. You know what I mean? Was it just off of anything? Just one little noise? Huh? Or did he wait? Was he like writing on the board, letting the chatter sort of build? And then that's the thing. When you're a kid in class, you always think you're good if you're just not as loud as the loudest person. But that noise rises the entire level of the volume, because now if everybody's talking a little bit, somebody's going to get a little bit more confident, get a little louder. Everybody starts talking a little louder. And as long as they're not as loud as the loud one, now everybody's basically screaming just so they can hear themselves because they're all doing so much talking. And next thing you know, he whips around, hey! Y'all gonna learn today. Because even the school said that he did $55,000 worth of damage. How? It must just be in the walls now. I'll tell you what, though, I've been listening to some of Beyonce's album, the new album, the country one, and everyone has what feels like a lot of feelings. Like some people are like, "This isn't country." Some people are like, "What a beautiful country album," you know. So. And some people are just interested in it because they feel like someone as big as Beyonce making a country album brings people back to at least some semblance of the history of like black origins within country music, right? Because and I don't expect everyone to know. I didn't know. My friend was telling me all of this stuff. I didn't just know this offhand. My friend was telling me that a lot of the instruments that come from early country, because like a lot of country comes from bluegrass, and so some of those bluegrass instruments were instruments that slaves made, right? Because they already had origins in West Africa. Things like the banjo, which were initially made with like gourds, stuff like that, like things that would later become the banjo, things that would become the fiddle, things that would become the tambourine, that were infused in this bluegrass that became this country music. Also, while a lot of the chanting from spirituals ended up as like choral elements and lyrics in some early country songs, and I thought that was so interesting. It's like weirdly buried because everything has to be such a binary for us. This is either black music or white music or anything, and I think people's contributions sometimes get diminished because of that. And then some people were talking about how it's important for Beyonce to make a country album because it is an overshadowing experience of a black person doing country that opens door for more black people who are already doing country, right? And that there's been some resistance to that, which a part of me does kind of get. Like if you're in country and you see Beyonce coming, wouldn't you be like, we have to stop this? This can't, come on. Don't, please. Yeah, I mean, something seems like super, super white, and then a black person comes, and they're like very talented in it, you know? You let Tiger play a little bit of golf. And not only did he win all the titles, he banged all of your women. Tiger alone, and then you see Beyonce coming, you're like, can I have nothing? So yeah, that's where the resistance is coming from. You know. But that's why I find so fascinating about the origins of a lot of music in America. So much of that music comes originally in some aspect from slavery, whether it's like blues, country, you know, there are rock elements, there are jazz elements. It's amazing that this horrific thing, this really horrible thing, what the people that it happened to turned it into is some of the most beautiful things that we have. I think that's incredible. I really do. I actually think about it a lot, because I don't think that everyone would be able to do that. Like, what if the roles were reversed? What would the white spirituals be? Because we can't take this lightly. We cannot take this lightly. I know I've used the word already in the set, but slavery was an abomination of humanity. No person should ever be able to treat another person this way. And out of all of these horrors came some of the most beautiful things that we've ever heard. Even if just down connecting the lines, connecting the dots to a person that's alive now. They have this music because this thing happened and someone made something beautiful out of it. But what if it was reversed? What if there were whites in the fields tilling the earth under the hot sun, which is not kind to white backs. And as they are tilling this earth, they're trying to find something in all of this devastating trauma to exhale their hurt in as beautiful way as possible, to build community among themselves. And they're tilling the earth as hard as they can, right? And then in the distance you hear, just a small town girl. Living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train. Slave Master Jamal comes out. What's that bullshit I hear? Yo, everybody get back to work, for real. Ain't nobody playing with y'all. I think that one very, very important thing that we have to do as people, like as a country, to move forward is I think we have to genuinely decide who needs to be in jail. Do you know what I mean? Because this is my thing. We can all agree that you do need jail. Like, we've all met someone where it was like, this feels like jail behavior. I don't want to risk running into this in traffic. I need you out over here, right? So we all have an understanding of the purpose of jail, but we don't seem to agree on everything that someone should go to jail for. But there are some baseline things that we all agree someone should go to jail for. But then people do those things, and then they don't go to jail. And then people do other things. Things that we say are very bad. Things that we say you should go to jail for. And then they go to jail. And then we do change the law while they're in jail. Like, I think about everybody who, was in jail for weed possession in states where weed is currently legal. They went to jail, and I understand that they broke the law, but they went to jail, and then we decided, as people, because it's something that had to be voted on, that, no, this thing shouldn't be illegal. And then they're sitting in jail like, so... what about me? Oh, no? Okay, I'll stay. Wow. Like, I had a friend who went to jail for, weed possession. right? And he did have a lot. He had quite a bit on him. He had, I'll call it an entrepreneurial amount. They popped his trunk and they were like, oh, you're a businessman. Oh. And he went to jail and you know, he said one of the craziest experiences was that when he got out and his friend came pick him up and they were driving away from the jail, one of the closest things built near the jail was a dispensary. And so he's like, maybe they're hiring. You know? Because we all know people, in theory, who should be in jail and aren't. You know what I mean? We've all worked with somebody who we know is crazy. Somebody who is like, if anybody gonna shoot up the job, it's gonna be him. And we all know, people in different departments are like, have you met him? Stay away. Don't make eye contact. He crazy, right? Then you go home, you watching Hulu documentaries about true crime and stuff, and then you watching a documentary like, that's everything Kevin do. I guess we just have to wait for him to do something jail-worthy, but all the general habits he does have. You know? I had my own experience. I was at a diner, and I was eating, truly minding my own business, and then there was this guy sitting across from me, and the guy sitting across from me got his meal, and he had soup, and I want to be clear, he had a spoon. That's very important. Everything I say next is unnecessary because he had soup and he had a spoon, all right? Everything required, soup and a spoon, he had it. God gave him everything he needed in this situation, a soup and a spoon to go with the soup. And rather than using the spoon like any normal, maybe tax-paying citizen, this man grabbed 2 forks, shoved them together, dipped them in the soup, lifted it up slightly, and was slurping it while maintaining eye contact with me. And as he did, I was like, lock his ass up. If he doing this, he doing something else. It was crazy as hell.
When I